ficam mais com o TV. O TV podia ter vindo, mas foi mel. Tinha a mulher.
Sim, sim. Vamos começar. Estamos prontos. Okay. Hello and welcome to the first of our series of meetings with the directors from the international competition of Curtas 2023. We have with us David Ferreira with his film Campos Belos, Susana Abreu with her film Vapor, Guilherme Garcia Lopes, his film Aunque es de Noche, and Mário Macedo and Vânia Vascarac with their film Cul-de-sac. I'll start with Susana. Like you mentioned in the presentation of your film, when it screened, it came about because of an encounter or a discovery with a Japanese actor while you were working on another film. So can you tell me a little bit more about how the idea for this film came about and that collaboration?
It was, like I told you, that I met this actor. I was doing a Japanese movie here in Portugal. And we became really friends. And so one day he was telling me he do this karate thing. And he showed me, and I said, can I shoot that in Super 8? Because I really like. And that became the main idea to start doing this. Then I went to shoot for that Japanese movie in Peniche. We've been shooting that there, and as the actor at these days that he was not shooting, I invite another actress from Lisbon to come. She's Mexican, living here in Portugal, and so I made this first movie, this first part of them in Peniche, and then I shoot with him when we end the other movie. I start shooting with him in Guimarães, and then when I sent the movie, all the Super 8 to Germany, and then they come back, I start editing, and I realized that I really want to do more, and I decided to go to Japan, and so that's how it happens.
But this is your first film, but you have a long career in cinema, mainly in costume design.
Costumes, yes.
Yeah. What was the desire to start to make your own film? What was the inspiration, or was there something?
Well, my husband is a producer and he's also a director. I do mostly costumes. So one day he was doing this workshop about Super 8 and another musician. And I told him that I would like to do that, and he said, no way. And I said, but why? And he said, no, because you will pay for that. And I said, yeah, but it's not that expensive. And he said, okay, and that's only for 12 persons, so you will not take the place. So this is cameras, this is Super 8 film, so go and shoot. Yeah. So I did the first video, that he was here also in competition here in Vila Conde. And I really love Super 8.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had, because it's very important in the look of the film, the use of this 8mm footage, Super 8. What do you think was behind your decision on what to use that? What's the appeal for you in using that almost classical old cinema look?
It's really beautiful. I think it's a language. And well, I didn't study film direction, so for me I discover Super 8 and I start editing and I really start enjoying doing that. It's almost like sewing and cutting, and it's really other thing that I really enjoy, and Super 8 is something that I'm really interested in.
And also, talking about the language of the film, it's very poetic and mysterious, because there's not much context to what you are seeing. You have to make almost a story in your head.
Yes.
So is that kind of language something that appeals to you, that you want to explore, maybe as a filmmaker?
Not only that was Vapor became like that, because also it's about memory and is relations, and when relations end, and what you remember, and what the other person told you. So it's all these things that you don't remember exactly what he said or what happened, but you have these little shorts of memory. Also, the movie ended up so short because it was a bigger story. That I had 2 cameras, and one of my cameras, as the Super 8 now is a little bit more heavy, maybe. So I was shooting, and I was thinking I was shooting because the machine was always like, and there was a lot of things that I didn't record it, and I was quite sad. But in the end, I was very happy with this short, like 7 minutes, 6 something. Because it's that when you are recording things of the past, you don't remember everything. So it ended up like that, and I'm really happy with it.
Yes, and congratulations on the film. It's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Next, David. Welcome to Curtas again. Congratulations on your impressive work, I think.
Thank you.
Can you tell us the idea how this for the film started? And maybe more specifically, how the writing process was. Was the idea of having this one take shot always from the beginning?
The idea of
the one take shot, the continuous. Was it always from the beginning, or something that came after?
The idea came. Ou seja, can I speak in Portuguese? Yeah. Sorry. Tipo, a ideia do filme nasce a partir de fazer como plano sequência, ou seja, há cerca de 10 anos eu estava por Campelos, que é a minha terra, tinha voltado dos estudos da Covilhã e estava ali e comecei-me a perceber da geografia do sítio e da tipologia dos edifícios e de como umas coisas em frente às outras, criavam uma história da vida que se passava ali, que é um bocado o reflexo da vida que acontece no Vale do Ave. Ou seja, a ideia quando surgiu logo na forma de ser contada em plano sequência, porque só resultaria criar aquelas relações naquele sítio como plano sequência. Acho que é...
Sim, a origem da ideia.
Sim, é isso.
Sim. E especialmente naquele sítio, foi sempre desde o início?
Foi sempre naquele sítio. A ideia foi naquele sítio e depois, tipo, eu tive essa ideia e passaram uns anos e depois as circunstâncias da vida ditaram que eu fosse trabalhar para aquela fábrica. E a sorte da vida permitiu-me conhecer o André e tipo concorrer e fazer o filme, ou seja, meio que... Sim.
Desculpa, e o tal processo de escrita?
O processo de escrita partiu logo dos movimentos dos personagens, foi muito descritivo do lugar e dos passos dos personagens. Pronto, foi engraçado partilhar isso com o André e meio que compormos a coisa aos dois e escrevermos os dois.
Houve muita evolução do argumento à medida que ias filmando, ou seja, ou ficou logo tudo estabelecido desde o início? Os
percursos e ficou tudo estabelecido. Depois é o processo de rodagem, uma coisa corre mal, outra coisa corre bem, tipo... acabou por ser engraçado porque estava uma tempestade enorme e nós estávamos cheios de medo que não íamos poder filmar o Steadicam, e nos momentos que foi preciso filmar um plano de 5 minutos, nós filmámos um plano de 5 minutos, nos momentos que era preciso haver sol, houve sol, então acabou por ser um pouco mágico e a forma como tinha tudo para correr mal e acabou por correr bem. E isso deu muita alegria à equipa e à população e foi muito bonito.
Como é que foi trabalhar com aqueles não atores? Como é que foi dirigi-los? Eles ajudaram a compor o filme pelo algum input que davam, alguma coisa assim?
Sim.
Eram bons a seguir?
Eu acho que eu estava um pouco com receio que eles ficassem envergonhados e eles agigantaram-se para o filme, tipo, eles tentaram dar todos o melhor de si e lá está, as circunstâncias, por exemplo, o Egídio, que é o personagem que faz de trabalhador, no dia antes teve um inchaço na perna, o que o faz andar da forma que fica bem engraçado no filme. Não foi preciso, não foi dirigir, foi tipo o que aconteceu.
Natural.
Ou seja, durante o processo do filme houve muitas coisas que aconteceram dessa forma, tipo acidentes, mas que depois traduziram-se num resultado final melhor. É meio que deixar fluir e a coisa fluiu para o melhor sítio possível.
E um plano de sequência é muito trabalhoso de filmar, tem muitos obstáculos, já acontecem milhares de coisas, não é? Como é que foi chegar ao resultado final? Houve muitas tentativas?
Não, conseguimos tudo meio que à primeira e poupámos película. Correu tudo muito bem.
Com a ajuda das pessoas?
Tínhamos uma equipa muito boa, muito coordenada, a funcionar muito bem. Tínhamos o pessoal a funcionar muito bem com a equipa. Tipo, acho que sim, correu tudo bem. E o tempo que, como eu já disse, que não dava tréguas, na altura que dava tréguas nós conseguimos fazer e ficou feito.
Uma curiosidade minha a ver o filme é os diálogos que nós ouvimos. Foram escritos, foram indicações que deste e depois eles improvisaram? Como é que...
Os diálogos no café e na saída da fábrica foi meio que indicações, mas de acordo com aquilo que eu experiencio ao conviver com eles, porque aquilo é o café onde eu paro, é a fábrica onde eu trabalho, conheço as pessoas, vamos falar disto e não sei o quê, e foi meio que assim um improviso. O texto da miúda, da Maria Luísa, foi ela que escreveu e tipo, eu li o texto e pareceu-me fazer um sentido qualquer para o filme e eu, pronto, deixei que ela lê. Tive gosto que ela lesse o texto e que ficasse aquele texto.
Um plano de sequência acho que normalmente implica muito manter a atenção do espectador, ou seja, chama quase a atenção para si próprio, não é? E a pessoa que está a ver fica atento aos movimentos da câmara, tentar perceber onde é que aquilo vai, quando é que vai cortar. Isso foi algo que tu querias explorar, ou seja, tornar mais visível a parte dos movimentos da câmara? Foi uma decisão tua?
Não estou a perceber.
Ou seja, o uso do plano de sequência chama mais atenção um bocado para toda a coreografia.
Ok.
E isso era algo que tu querias explorar, ou seja, esse estilo de filmagem?
Sim, de certa forma, sim. De certa forma eu achei que era a única forma de se sentir mais o espaço. Tipo, e a relação entre os edifícios, a relação entre a escola, a capela, foi mais por aí. E depois os movimentos e a coreografia tipo, foi adaptado a ser da forma mais dinâmica possível para resultar.
Sim, certo. E há certos momentos em que, por necessidades técnicas ou por causa do sítio, há ali uns cortes, não tão cortes, mas mudança de perspectiva. Quando estamos a acompanhar o miúdo, depois muda para... Como é que foi chegar a essa decisão de, ok, neste momento vou mudar aqui a perspectiva?
Desculpa, posso repetir, eu perdi-me meio no pensamento.
Não faz mal. Como é que foi escolher aqueles momentos no filme em que mudas de perspectiva? Ou seja,
quase que mudas de tempo.
Sim, exato. E há essa passagem do tempo também.
Sim, eu acho que há por ser a mudança do local e tipo, em algum momento vais fazer uma passagem de um dia ou de anos, não sei, qual que seja a interpretação. Há algum momento que tem que haver essa passagem de tempo e foi meio que assumi-la como corte ou o que quer que seja, mas não sendo o corte mesmo assumido.
Sim. Não, mas acho que é até meio poética a maneira como ali em 15 minutos, mais ou menos, consegues fazer a passagem de um dia.
Sim, e eu acho que, pelo menos, estou contente e acho que é fluido e é orgânico e que funciona. E que,
sim. Obrigado e parabéns pelo filme. Guillermo, hi. Welcome to Curtas. Congratulations on a very beautiful and moving film. Can you tell us how the idea for the film came about? What was the starting point for the project?
Well, I was filming a documentary in Madrid, in different parts of the world, and when I was preparing in Madrid, the documentary was around different worlds, and one of them was the evictions that happened after the economic crisis in the 2002 2012, after the crisis of the 2008. So I suddenly, when I was spending a summer finding families that were under the threat of eviction, and I entered this place that was very close to is very close to my house, to my city. I mean, it's 15 minutes, 20 from the center of Madrid, from Puerta del Sol, but I mean, it's like going to the 70s in Spain, no? And it's like an illegal settlement with own rules, with own laws, and that also challenge the rules and the laws that are from this center that displays this area, no? It's a community, a 15-kilometer snake that surrounds Madrid, with a lot of population from Gitanos, Españoles, and Moroccans, and specifically in the sector where I was working, it's the biggest heroin and cocaine market in Spain, no? I mean, the settlements is the biggest in Europe. So, I mean, there is this idea of a place that on my works, I always move by a space and people that I want to film, and I start always from that point, like looking to myself, I find that. And in that moment, I noticed that, okay, I will do a film here. I mean, this place is moving me a lot. And everything started from there. You know, I started doing some film workshops with kids there, doing films with cell phones. We were making films together, and then after that, well, I started to plant the seeds for a film.
Yeah, that was one of the questions. How was it discovering those kids and working with them? Were they open to being filmed, and did they help to shape the film?
I mean, in this community, this is, first of all, one of the things that also drove me to make the film this way is that this area is an area that whose images, the images that are generated of these kind of areas and many other places in the world like this, are always very perverted, no? In general, in the media, or images that you take so few time to do them, never represent the character, the human, the soul. And for me, the focus of the cinema for me is mainly emotion and this essence of humankind, no? And also, what made me very thought a lot is how images that are created about ourselves create a personality in ourselves, you know, like a representation, how the power of the images and the power of cinema in generating realities, no? And I understood that many people there were believing that these images that they saw in TV, it was them, but it's not like this, no? So, of course, it's very difficult to enter that place and to create images there. So it was a long process of, I mean, it took me 2 years to take out a camera, like to film by myself. But of course, I mean, when I was part of the community somehow, I opened the idea, okay, we were making a film together. We are making a film together, and the actors, all of the actors are from there, and never did a film, of course. And the community responded very well, actually. Of course, there was created a sense of trust, no? Yes.
And in the film, you use this mix of footage of the films that they record on the phone, and also from your camera. Did the actors film their own footage first? And when did you come to that decision that you wanted to use what they were filming? And what did you give them in directions, or were they free to?
Okay, it's very scripted. Everything is written in the sense that everything was from a script. Of course, we never, I mean, they didn't read the script, but everything that is there was written. And we arrived to that world, like, of course, we shot the Super 16. We combined two materials. We wanted to combine Super 16, very raw, rage, analog texture and materiality of image, no? And putting into dialogue with this digital, very stream digital iPhone image, no? In this dialogue, also I wanted to reflect about what I was talking before, no? About this idea of how images represent us, no? And the idea was how these materials could work. This was the challenge. Of course, the Super 16 was more into a more process, like fictional process of shooting. And the phone, I was with them, giving them the camera. Of course, we were creating our game rules, and we were alone, playing alone in the field many days. And at the end, we got this material step by step. And well, we try to conform and how you can separate the materials, but at the same time that they both belong to the same film. No, it was the challenge for me.
It's interesting because you mentioned that the settlement, it's like something from the 70s, and there is this sense of being stuck in time almost, which also plays with the fact that the kids, they are almost trying to film a science fiction movie and with the different colors and filters. Was that something that you wanted to explore, this idea of like something from another time maybe that you wanted to show?
Definitely. I mean, one of them, yes, the things that were accompanying me all the time was this idea about what is past, present, and future of ourselves, no? And what is future in a place like this? A future that doesn't exist because this is a place that is under the threat of eviction. Actually, I didn't say that yesterday, but the Madrid, the municipalities want to evict this because now they want to do a real estate operation, and now it's becoming an important place. But from the 50s, this place was completely abandoned. No? So now to evict these people fast, they are cutting the electricity. So the community, the families that are living there are living without light from 3 years already. So of course, this also when I do films, I like, of course, stick very much to reality, but I try to build a world that is the world of this film, no? Where I can also fly and dream in film. No? I like this. I like fiction a lot because of that. No? So, of course, there was this idea of giving an image that is not, you don't know exactly how to place it. It could belong to the 50s or maybe to the 70s or maybe now, no? Film with this device that is even the gesture of the image of filming with a phone is something that you cannot do with a camera because the movement that it creates with a hand is something that we don't have.
The idea that is on the film of the story of the two kids and their friendship that is ending, it's delayed all throughout the film until right the end. It's almost a metaphor for this place because its ending is also being constantly delayed. Was that like something in your mind when you were writing the part of the kid's story?
Well, I mean, the idea of this film, going back to the first question, springs from an image, and it's an image of a kid seeing how the childhood flies away and he claims for it. So this was the starting point for the film. And of course, Tony is facing loss. No? It's facing loss in many different ways. He's facing the loss of a friend, but he's also facing the loss of a world that is falling apart. No? A way of life that, of course, is not integrated in our contemporary capitalist, impatient world, but it's a way of also living. In fact, in terms of cares, the way that people live there maybe could even inspire the way that we live in a much more individualistic way, no? But sorry, I got lost. But of course, this world, like Antonino, the character, what he's facing is the loss of a gaze, the gaze of the way of seeing the childhood, no? And this gaze is going with his friend and with the phone.
Yeah. Like you said, you mix a couple of elements visually. One part feels more like a documentary, and there's also this part which is the fiction, the story of the kids. Is that frontier between documentary and fiction something that interests you, that you want to explore with your films?
Yes, anyways, I mean...
I'm sorry, but was it more of the case here?
But in general, I think I would like to film fiction as if it was a documentary or even a documentary with elements of the fiction. So for me, I mean, from the beginning I've been doing both, and I would like to continue doing both. It's difficult, of course, for me to put it in a box, but I understand that the industry needs to put this thing in a box. But of course, I would like to stick more to create images that feel completely close to life. This is my aim, for sure. So, of course, documentary has a lot of tools to get that images in a very natural way and in a very easier way. No? But at the same time, fiction creates worlds that sometimes is more difficult to create with the technique of documentary. No? So yes, I to answer your question, yes, I feel very comfortable in this way of filming.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And finally, moving to Mário Macedo and Vanya Thank you for being here in Curtas. Thank you for this incredible portrait of this group of friends and their little adventures or adventure. I want to start by asking the same question, which is how did the project started? What was the first idea or the inspiration to make this film?
Well, we met while Mario was living in Croatia through women, through our girlfriends. But then we didn't hang out for a while. We just kind of knew each other. And then we met again after maybe 2 years, and we clicked because we like the same films. We see the world in I wouldn't say the same way, but there's a lot of similarities. There's like some common thread. So we had this idea about, what if we have a story about a group of skaters that break up into a mall? Let's build a story about it. And we went very impulsively for it. We wrote a very loose script. It was a COVID year. And we said, okay, we got a little bit of money, our own personal money. Let's go shoot it. Let's go to the mall. Let's ask them if we could shoot it at the end of the summer, which was in about a month. We went to the mall, sweet talked them into doing it, and we shot it.
Yeah.
But why the group of skaters as to show their friendship maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I also have personal reasons why I made this film, and I actually just disclosed them to Vanya a couple of days ago, which has actually at that time I was going through, I don't know, hardcore anxiety issues and stuff. So I was this movie was kind of a therapy for me. And I don't know, it's kind of a therapeutic movie even to watch it for me on the big screen, but that's again personal reasons. But The Skaters was actually the joint of two worlds, because I think conceptually even Vanya does a lot of work in commercials and whatnot, and a mall is the mecca of capitalism, And I, at the time, in this anxiety-driven existence, I was hanging out a lot with skaters. Because the DOP, Filip Romac, is a great friend of mine, and he's also a skater. And we just thought, actually, that the two worlds, which are so extremely opposed, it will be beautiful to just actually make a very contemplative piece that, it looks upon, society, I guess, nowadays, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the therapeutic aspect, because I think one of the most interesting aspects is that there's not a lot of dialogue. There's a couple of scenes, but mostly they just hang out because, as friends do, when they know each other for a long time, they don't have to talk. And that was something I think that you wanted to show, just the peaceful times,
yeah, it's this sort of feeling of never-ending youth, which also I think my anxieties, and I guess all of us have it at one point, which is oh shit, I'm getting old. It's maybe the good times are ended, But then again, isn't existence just passing time, these kids in the mall just talking about nothing in a way? I mean, I don't know. To me, it came a lot about that, but also, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to add?
I think it was, to me, it was also therapeutic because, after a long, no, it makes sense. It was kind of like a comeback to what I really want to do, because I did a lot of commercials and I did a few short films that maybe, you're always kind of pushed into, how to put it nicely. You're working in the industry where, okay, you should do this. This would be a smart step, and then you kind of lose yourself. It's really easy to do it. And then this was a very impulsive move. Okay, let's do this film. I do commercials, great. I can get equipment for free. I can get a lot of friends that I work with in commercials. They're gonna help us out. Mario got his friends, and that's how we started. And I think we both put in a lot of it together, but a lot of it individually. So it was two different perspectives that merged into one, really. To me, it was really interesting to see, just to have just the context of skaters, claiming this space. And this space that is empty and nobody ever shows up. So it seemed to me that, and to both of us, that it could be an interesting place, an interesting series of images where you can really, it can give a lot of ideas to the audience, like open-ended ideas. Is it end of the world? Is it their personal end of the world? Are they committing suicide? Whatever. I'm not saying they are, they're not. But a lot of it, is it alien invasion, war? Is it 100 years ago?
It's a very closed space, and the film lives like that without other information.
They come from the underground into the mainstream, and everything dilutes in this meaninglessness of the comfort. You know, it's like which.
Yeah.
It's 2022.
And how was it working with the actors? Were you following what they were doing, or were they reacting to your directions?
I mean, they're all non-actors. They're all actually skaters from Zagreb. I mean, because since I hanged out mostly with that crew in Zagreb while I was there, I just basically, we did a casting within the community. I mean, a casting. I was hanged out as like, hey, do you want to be part of my film because I love the way you skate and all that? No, but I mean, we got actually, they're really all really nice people. And I mean, it was a rough shooting for them because they are like, some of them work during the day and we shot during the night, and they came straight from work and then they had to skate like kilometers because this mall is huge. Yeah. It's like literally huge. It's like this mall that is, I guess they want to reminisce these American malls from back in the day. So it's like this huge alien outside of Zagreb called Westgate, because it's next to the highway that comes from Austria to the coast. So yeah, I don't know. It's like the kids. It's like not kids. Like they're not kids actually, but they were very open. They just and we wanted to infuse that side of documentary into it. So we wanted like to also get to know their personal thoughts on a lot of things, which we ended up like just actually using the one about love, which was in the bowling area. I mean, we had many more scenes, but then we just shish kebab that thing, and we ended up just going with that because also this everlasting notion of love. But yeah, like it was all documentarian on that side, and it was all them, and it's it's basically that was the process.
Yeah, the documentary feel is I think it's important here because that you use a lot of different shots, so different like fixed camera moving around. What was it like finding that balance? Was it more in the editing, or when you were shooting you had some shots in mind?
I think it was mostly really this slow aesthetic, even if wide. Even when we were shooting, because our DOP is a skater, even when we were shooting from his skate with a big camera, it was still we were trying to have it to be really smooth, so it's really sliding through the mall. So it's like this kind of beautiful choreography within this space. Because I thought, it's probably going to be interesting to see a documentary base in an aesthetic that's so fixed and so cinematic. So we thought it's going to be interesting.
To go a little bit against what is usually a skate video, it's like they're like filmic wise, they're always filled with movement together with the movement of the skate, and I don't know, it's already so contemplative, and I guess it's also a lot about hanging out with skaters without being a skater, that I stay still for a long time and just see them, and I don't know. It's
because usually these skate videos, which I don't like. They're usually
very stylized.
They're about tricks and maybe cutting, and they're focusing on something completely different.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
If you put this camera aesthetic, then you really look at the amazing beauty of choreography and an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, physically.
Because it looks always so effortless, But it's so beautiful. So yeah.
No, but also those moments when they are just laying next to each other, it's very nice because that's something you usually don't see in a skater film. I
mean, we usually see the more rough stuff, It's like either they are doing weird stuff or, we never see the boring moments, which are actually, the more meaningless, as we can put it, but they're actually full of meaning because it's also about, like, I guess, their brotherhood and, in a sense, this toxicity of this like male bonding, because it's also very like male-oriented type of group usually.
I mean, we went through a lot of ideas. I mean, we were thinking about, also talking about, what if we do, let's say, a trope of a disaster movie, apocalyptic movie, where a disaster never happens. You know, maybe it's anticipated, but then nothing really happens, nothing super important in the film. So, and I also thought that it was interesting that we're using, because, you know, we're all in the West, at least at times it seems that we're merging into one culture, you know. So some kid in Croatia, some guy in Croatia builds a huge mall that looks like an American mall, but again, it kind of looks fake with, you know, because there's different brands and it's local. And then you have skating, which is such a big part of American culture, and then you appropriate it and you use it in Croatia. And then in this context where we had war in the Balkans and this mall is kind of, you know, struggling, it's interesting, you know. And I gotta add, I mean, you don't really see it in the film, but one thing we were also talking about a lot was a lot of people left the country when Croatia joined the EU, you know. I actually personally enjoyed that we joined the EU, but what I'm saying is a lot of people left. So we also thought, okay, maybe in a way, even subconsciously, while we're developing this idea, this is about all these young kids just, you know, packing their suitcases and leaving. So.
And finally, what was it like working as a team? You know, with other. You also have another film here, which was also with another person, but
yes.
you've done also work just by yourself, and also you. So what was the main difference working as a?
Well, I guess it's not for everybody. I mean, you gotta, you know, you invest, you push in, you let go. And in the end, when you think about it, it's just a film. We're not saving lives. I mean, I love what we do, but, you know, it's art. Let's play with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I don't know, to me, I don't know, I have films that I carry very personally inside of me, and I know it's just a standalone direction thing, but there are movies, because I mean, we all have immense worlds inside of ourselves, so it's like there are movies that I like to share, and I actually want to share them, and I want to not have the whole load on myself. And I don't know, it also helps me to try new stuff that I might never have thought before, and yeah, I like the challenge, and it was pretty effortless challenge, because I don't know, I think it's also about balancing egos and stuff like this, and then it works fine.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
We have like 5 minutes, so I have one question for everybody. Maybe we'll start again with David. And the question is, looking at the first idea you had about the project and looking at the end result, how close and how different was it for you? Primeira ideia.
I think it's very close. Or what I thought, I know what I imagine, and I think it's very close.
And is that surprising for you?
I don't know. I never thought about that. I don't know.
No, because sometimes I usually ask this question, and they say some of the directors say that it ends up very different, and for them it's like a learning process. Even if the result is similar?
To me, it was more like a discovery process about what I want to film and how I want to film it. So it was not as much as a learning process, it was a discovering process.
Okay, makes sense. And Suzanne, also being your first film?
Yeah, I told you that I thought about one thing, and then it became another thing, because I explored it. More than that, I guess.
Yes. Actually, now I feel that it's very close, but the reality is that I have been re-elaborating first the script and then created images and images and images. So now it looks like it's close, but I've maybe the images installed in my mind, so there is no way to feel another thing. But it's true that in this project, in this film, I was trying to invent a language for this film. So if I read the dossier now, of course it's the same. But in the dossier was not clear the final result of that intentions, more theoretical. So here we were trying to, I was trying to invent a language for this film that make all what said before with the colors and so on. We invented with, even with the colorists, we didn't have a, we were exploring. In this sense, it was very experimental process, no? So I would say, I would like to think that this is the same, but I know that it's definitely a real process that you do with your people, with your crew, that brings a lot, and you are not aware even sometimes. Yes.
And you guys?
I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty close, even though there was like, I wouldn't say hundreds, but like a lot of edits and a lot of rethinking the thread of the movie. I mean, very early on, we were very fixated. I mean, from the beginning, it's like still shots, like these very central compositions wide. So it was more like there was a puzzle of the editing, like, oh, maybe this scene we thought about that it's in the beginning, it's actually not in the beginning, you know. But and then this whole thing that the movement of the skate, so it's like, I don't know, 80% close to, yeah.
I think when we, at least when I thought about the film before we were shooting, when we were just conceptualizing, the essence and the emotion is there. Everything else, it's not there. I mean, we had the same methods that I hoped they're going to work, but then we shot something different. We changed something, but the emotion is there.
Okay, thank you so much for all your words, and good luck to your films. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with the directors from today's films. Thank you.